So, before giving my list for top 10 samurai films, I first just want to mention that there's going to be no Akira Kurosawa films on this list. And the reason for that is if I included them, they'd probably take up most of the list, and it would end up just looking like everyone else's top 10 list. And there's a lot of movies that not everyone knows about, but are really good, and I think more people should see. And if you want that list, you could just check out my top 10 best Akira Kurosawa movies video.
What does it mean to be samurai? To devote yourself utterly to a set of moral principles, to seek a stillness of your mind, and to master the way of the sword.
To know life in every breath, every cup of tea, every life we take, the way of the warrior.
Life in every breath.
That is Bushido.
So first, I just want to get some honorable mentions that I feel just missed the list but are still deserving. So I still haven't finished the Zatoichi series. There's like 26 films, and this may change, but as of right now, the first movie is my favorite. It's the first film to give us this character that just started this massive series of films. This first one may not have the most action, but I will say it's the most grounded out of the ones I've seen so far. If you want to see how many of these films I've seen so far, you could check out my Zatoichi playlist. Next I have the Lone Wolf and Cub series, and these are movies I'm hoping to review and rank and just have them up on this channel for you soon. I always viewed the second film, Baby Cart at the River Styx, to be the best one, and they mainly used the footage for this film in the Shogun Assassin, which most English speakers are familiar with. I always remember this one having the best enemies and best action. It's been a few years since I've seen these, so I really need to refresh on it before I could place them higher, but as of right now, I remember them being great films, and I look forward to rewatching them and reviewing them hopefully soon for you. And Samurai Rebellion just missed this list. It's a great film, and it's by the excellent Masaki Kobayashi. It also stars Toshiro Mifune, which adds to it. And the thing I always remember the most about this film is just how great of a finale. It's unforgettable. This is definitely a must-see, and it's just a great depiction of governmental corruption of the time, something that Kobayashi covers a lot in his films. So, The Hidden Blade is the second film in Yoji Yamada's unofficial samurai trilogy. And this one caught me a bit off guard with just how good it was. It follows this 19th century samurai that is sent by his clan to kill his best friend. And there's some pretty great surprises, especially at the ending, which I really liked. It's slower paced, but nonetheless, it's a powerful film. The only thing I didn't like was this one split second of bad CGI. So this one may piss some of you off, but this is one that I have to include. This was the movie that got me into samurai in the first place. Without this film, this list wouldn't even exist. Yes, I know the film isn't historically accurate, but it's still a great film, and it's a timeless tale that just depicts a nation changing and losing their heritage. And it shows brave men that want to hold on to it even at the cost of their own lives. I feel like too many people nowadays are unwilling to separate accuracy from film, and they just love to hate this movie. But I think it's a great movie, and I think it's an eye-opener to what was going on in those days in early Japan. Also, it has one of the best soundtracks by Hans Zimmer. So, no movie list is complete without at least one Miike film. And this is honestly one of his finest achievements. It's very much like the classics of old, and in particular Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. There's a bit of a slow and gradual build-up during which time we're introduced to each of the characters and just one very evil and unforgettable villain. And then we just get this over-the-top, extended, it goes on forever, awesome climax, in which case an entire village just becomes this massive battleground. It's basically a rated R version of the final battle in Seven Samurai. It's definitely not to be missed. So, here's a film that kinda took Netflix by storm last year. Rurouni Kenshin has always been a memorable anime series, especially when I was younger, but the past series of live-action films have really awakened new fans. And it just brings new life to the tale of a cold-hearted killer that now vows to never kill again. All the films in the series are great, but the beginning is on another level. From the real stunts, the fast-paced and bloody fighting scenes, to the tragic love story, this film does it all. And it does it all really well. And to add to all that awesomeness, even the cinematography looks great. What makes me prefer this entry over the others is its realism. It feels much more like a samurai film instead of an anime adaptation. There's no one jumping 10 feet in the air, there's no goofy acting or crazy hairdos. It's very serious, it's dark, and I'd just love to see more anime to live action adaptations like this one. As of now, this is the best anime to live action film that exists, and what's great is you could just watch this movie without seeing any of the other films in the series. So, go check it out. After the Rain sometimes gets labeled as a Kurosawa film, mainly because it was co-written by him, but it wasn't directed by him, so I'll say it's fair game for this list. Simply put, this is a beautiful movie. It starts off real quiet, but it just slowly builds to something that's actually quite surprising. And then it ends in this strange way where it kind of leaves you thinking about the ending, and you'll be thinking about it for days. It's a quiet and beautiful movie, and I wish it was more well known. The Twilight Samurai is the first movie made by the director Yoji Yamada, and it's based on a novel by Shuhei Fujisawa. This is also the first authentic samurai movie he's directed. Later he'll go on to make a whole trilogy. And reportedly, it took him over 10 years of planning and over a year of historic research to complete this film. And you can really see that. It feels like you're in this time period. The big actor Hiroyuki Sanada, who's been a favorite of mine since I first saw him in The Last Samurai, plays the main character in this. He's a poor and widowed samurai struggling with clan loyalties. And he's just a really great actor in this. One minute he'll have you laughing, especially the scene where he explains his state of happiness at being a single father to his uncle who's kind of an asshole. And he'll even have you choking back tears at the marriage proposal scene. In the film, the lives of all the characters are compelling, but what really gets you is the element of Japan itself, and it takes place during the twilight of the samurai age. Japan is about to change from an isolated warrior nation to an international leader advocating peace. And this is a film that just works on every level and it will not disappoint. It's quiet, it's beautiful, not the most action, but it's more so this powerful. It's another must see. Love and Honor, also called The Poison Taster, is the third movie in Yoji Yamada's samurai trilogy, and it's my favorite. Like one of its titles, it follows a samurai that tastes food for poison before giving it to their lord. And pretty much what you expect would happen, happens. And where it ends up going from there is something you're gonna have to see to believe. This one ended up surprising me the most just because it's an excellent film, but it always just gets overshadowed by The Twilight Samurai. As good as The Twilight Samurai is, I find this film to be a little better. Love and Honor is basically a Zatoichi film that's more believable and more tragic. It also has a love story that I actually cared about, and it's one of the most exciting final duels in any samurai film. The soundtrack is also really great, and just the outdoor Japanese settings and just the cinematography all look beautiful. This film is Yoji Yamada's real masterpiece, and it's a must-see. For anyone that's been wanting to see the best samurai film about an anti-hero, this is it. The Sword of Doom was originally meant to be a remake of the Satan Sword trilogy. This film stars the legendary samurai actor Tetsuya Nakadai, and he plays this cold-hearted killer that commits one horrible act after the other, slowly descending into insanity. The final fight scene is so violent that it caused the next two films to be cancelled. Even though a trilogy would have been awesome, this film does still stand strong as a standalone film, and it's able to get its overall message across. Let's also not forget that this film has excellent and memorable cinematography. From the fight scene in the foggy forest, to Toshiro Mifune just slaughtering enemies in a blizzard, and of course the bloodbath of a finale. It's an awesome film, check it out. So, Goyoken is a film I haven't seen until recently, and I really regret that because this is the definition of an epic samurai film. Being directed by Hideo Gosha, it stars the Big Three, that's Nakadai, Tamba, and Nakamura. The three legends of Chambara in one film should be enough, but this also has a great story, and it's about guilt and redemption. The main character in this, played by Nakadai, chooses to become a Ronin after his clan commits a horrible act. When he finds out it's gonna happen again, he takes charge to stop it at any cost. This is a samurai epic, it's a great film, and it's a must-see. Go watch it. At River's Edge is another film I just recently watched, and this one really blew my mind. Just like with the Yamada trilogy, this one was also written by Shuhei Fujisawa, and I'll say this one is by far my favorite, and it's one I hope that more people watch. I've never heard this movie ever mentioned, and the cover of the film looks kinda boring. And it just doesn't do it justice, which is a real shame because I assure you, this is an outstanding film. The concept of the film is great. A skilled samurai named Sakunasuke must kill his best friend because he betrayed the clan, and he's too much of a match for anyone else. To make matters worse, his friend that he has to kill is his brother-in-law, and his sister was brought up with the same training as him, and she's not gonna go down without a fight. And she already doesn't like him. There's other complications involved that I'm not going to spoil, so I'm just going to say go and watch this film now. Harakiri is regarded as one of the greatest Japanese movies of all time. It appears on every top 10 samurai list you'll find. It also has an 8.6 on IMDb. But why does everyone like this film? It's long, it's slower paced, and it doesn't have that much action. But what it does have going for it is it's very memorable. And it deals with a fascinating topic that both Japanese and Westerners have been fascinated with for centuries. And that's the topic of seppuku, ritual suicide. Being directed by the great Masaki Kobayashi, this film is basically perfect. The way it's shot, the visuals, the acting. It also stars the legendary Chambara actors Tetsuya Nakadai and Tetsuro Tamba. And yes, we do get to see them fight in a duel. But the movie is much more than all that. And it's one everyone should see whether you like samurai films or not. In the film, a samurai played by Nakadai goes to the estate and he has to go through different levels of bureaucracy in order to get to the part where he gets to commit suicide. And when he finally goes through all the formalities just to get to the part where we get to see the ritual ceremony, we see him start to play games with the feudal lords. He's up to something, and the question is, what does he want? What ends up following is a string of long flashbacks where by the end of it, it all makes sense. Though I will say, this is a very sad movie and it's soul crushing, so just be ready for that. Kobayashi has always been a filmmaker that likes to make his movies a commentary about corruptions with the system. And this was probably a commentary about Japan's kamikaze pilots during World War II. Keep in mind this was made in the 60s. One of Kobayashi's big concerns has to do with systems and traditions on behalf of the powerful so that they can keep and maintain their power and continue to crush those who are poor, weak, or of lower classes. In this movie, the feudal lords are the ones who are the powerful, and they're using the samurai seppuku system to crush the weak and poor. And the samurai that comes to their estate is there to condemn them for their unjust practices. It's a battle of upper class versus lower class, and this one man is standing against it. The big thing that this film does is it makes you feel something. Even though it's a story that takes place in 1600s Japan, it's still a very timeless tale and it can easily apply to modern times. You feel the disgust at the feudal lords that are just using people in this suicide system and just how they brutalize people that were in need. This film is also very realistically done, and it doesn't do what most other samurai films do. There is some fighting in it, and there is a final showdown that's unforgettable, but it's more so interested in finding justice, but also pointing out how justice can't always be achieved all at once. So that is my list of the best non-Kurosawa samurai films. Akira Kurosawa may be the director with the most great samurai films under his belt, but that doesn't mean there's others and some even better ones that are out there. Yes, you should still watch all of Kurosawa's films, but don't stop there. There's still plenty of other great movies that you could still be watching. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and join my Patreon if you want to help the channel grow. Thank you.